Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're learning how to learn more with one of my favorite hidden gems around stock charts. That is ChartSchool, of course, our educational resource designed to help you learn more about all things markets. We're talking technicals, we're talking indicators, overlays, fundamental analysis, trading strategies, anything that you could ever want to know, you can probably find it in ChartSchool. Plus, we're going to show you a little bit around the support center and going to even show you one little shortcut in ACP for all you ACP users to help you get to ChartSchool and the support center right from the platform. So lots to cover today. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me here on Stock Charts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show every Friday, digging into the site, diving into the tools, showing you around the features and helping you get more value out of stock charts. My name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. Thank you so much for being with me. If you're new to the show, welcome, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Good to have you as always, and today's show is going to be a fun one, a little bit different though. You know, mostly on this show what we're doing is digging into the tools, the features, talking about all of the resources you have available to you for actually analyzing the markets, digging into the charts, looking at price, looking at all those different symbols, everything that you do with our charts and tools. That's mostly what we spend time doing on this show. But today, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It's another resource that you have available to you on stock charts, but a little bit more of an educational resource. It's something to help you learn more about all these different tools and the features, but not just kind of how to use them, actually the theories behind them, all of that good stuff. So today, what we're talking about, as we discussed in the intro, is ChartSchool. I think that this is one of the absolute best hidden gems on stock charts. A lot of people actually find their way to stock charts through ChartSchool, but then they kind of put it aside and they forget about it. So today, what I wanted to spend a little bit of time doing was touring you through ChartSchool. Of course, that educational resource full of articles from accomplished technicians. Folks like Arthur Hill and John Murphy have put so much time and energy and effort into building ChartSchool for you. Of course, we've continued to evolve this resource over time, and there's just so much there. And no matter who you are, you know, whether you're brand new to charting, brand new to the markets, or you've been doing this for a long time, you are an expert, you're a veteran in this field, either case and anything in between, ChartSchool has something for you. So we're going to spend a little bit of time today digging into ChartSchool, diving into all those different articles. I'll show you a couple of my favorites. Plus, we're actually going to jump over, highlight some things in the support center, which is kind of the complement to that educational side in ChartSchool. We're even at the end of the show going to jump over to ACP, show you one little trick that you might not know for getting over to ChartSchool and Support Center articles. Actually makes it pretty easy if you're ever using different indicators and you want to learn a little bit more about them. We've got an important trick for you there in ACP. So lots to cover. Let's get right to it. So we are starting here on the ChartSchool landing page. Now I've navigated here for the start of the show, but if you are wondering how to get to ChartSchool, first things first, it's very easy. All you've got to do is look for the links across the top of the site on any page, the charts and tools, articles, Stock Charts TV, and then we've got ChartSchool right there. Give that a click. That's going to take you right over to the ChartSchool landing page. So very easy to get here from any page. By the way, while we're up here at the top of the site, if you ever want to get to the support center, all you've got to do is look for the help link up in the top right corner as well. So we're going to use that a little bit later in the show. But we're starting here on ChartSchool. And as we've discussed, ChartSchool is that educational resource really for investors of all levels. No matter who you are, we've built this as a resource for beginning chartists, people that are totally new to the markets, but also for experienced technicians that need a refresher on something, or they want to go back and sort of read some of the fundamentals. Here's something from someone like John Murphy, one of the legends of this industry. So regardless of who you are, ChartSchool is a fantastic resource. Now there is a ton here, a ton to cover. We're going to sort of breeze through ChartSchool. I am going to highlight a few articles that I do personally think are absolutely worth your time to go and review. But realistically, everything in ChartSchool is worth your time. So you have a little bit of homework this week. Go play around with ChartSchool. Dig into some of these different sections that we covered today. We're not going to be able to highlight every single article. There are literally hundreds of them. But you do have all of this available to you, totally free, by the way, and very, very easy to access. It's always there. And really, again, it's designed to help make your charting experience better. If you're ever wondering about something, if you're ever confused about something, if you're ever thinking about maybe adding a new indicator into your process or evaluating a new trading system, something like that, a lot of those resources, a lot of the information about any of those decisions, that can all, is housed in ChartSchool. A lot of that stuff is right here for you. We've got articles covering all those topics. So tons and tons to cover. Now, first things first, we're going to start at the top of this page with the table of contents. And as you can see, we've got a couple of different sections here. The table of contents, different charting resources. We've got information about scanning and alerts. And then at the bottom, we actually have some links to other educational resources around the site. So things like our blogs, our instructional videos, sign up for the Chart Watchers newsletter that comes out every Saturday, a great resource right into your inbox. But all of these different resources are down here for you. And then in the sections up above, these are all sort of links to pieces of ChartSchool, or even in some cases, the support center. So you can click on any of these to get sort of deeper into that section. And as you can see, you've got the little title, but you also have a little description of kind of what that section is. So we're going to start right up at the top with the overview. Now the overview is really kind of the first place to go within ChartSchool. So we'll give that a click. What you can see is that we have a little definition written by John Murphy of what technical analysis is. And from there, we dive into a couple of different sections. So we've got a whole bunch of sort of introductory articles, why analyze security, things like securities, things like that. What is technical analysis? Taking kind of a deeper dive into really this first section that we have up top. If you are new to charting, if you're new to technical analysis, maybe you found us on the web and you're kind of wondering how TA can work for you, how charts can help you. This technical analysis article right here is a fantastic one, a great starting place. If you're wondering about fundamental analysis, maybe you're a little bit more, you lean towards the technicals. You're on StockCharts, of course, so you're probably leaning towards the technicals, but you're curious about some fundamental concepts as well. We've got that fundamental analysis article right there for you. We've got some other fantastic ones. Random walk versus non-random walk, always a fun one. Of course, Burton Malkiel's book, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, an interesting one in our industry. So we address some of the ideas and the concepts shared in that, do a little bit of a data deep dive, which is always fun. So that's another fun article to read. And then we talk about asset allocation and diversification. Of course, when we think about putting together a portfolio, these are two concepts that are crucial for building a strong portfolio. So this is another great article that I like to point people to. Down below that, we have what we call our must-read technical analysis articles. Now, the two that I want to highlight in here, again, I could highlight every single article in ChartSchool. I mean, there's just so much here, but one that I absolutely love, one that I always give to people when they say, hey, Grayson, what's a great place to kind of go learn a little bit more about charting and get some of the fundamentals of charting? I always point people to John's Charting Made Easy ebook, which we have available right here. So that's a crucial article for me when I think about new people getting started, or even veterans. It's always fun. I actually go back and read this ebook every couple of years, just as a refresher on some of these concepts, just to hear John's language as he describes some of these things. Again, one of the sort of the godfathers of this industry, one of the legends of our industry. So hearing John's description of charting concepts and really kind of breaking those down, again, making it easy. That ebook is a fantastic resource. I also love his 10 Laws of Technical Trading. This is a bit of a shorter article, not very long. We'll actually click into that one. These are 10 laws of technical trading that John has written. He's put together all of these. So you can see this is actually a pretty short article, just kind of a couple of key points from John. This is another one that I love to go back to and just kind of breeze through. It's always a good refresher on some of the things that we as technicians need to be thinking about. So again, all these articles are available to you. You just got to click on any of the titles and you've got all that content right there. Anytime you see, by the way, a blue underlined link, that is a link, some blue underlined text, that's going to be a link to another article, another section of the site, a chart, something like that. So if you ever see something that is underlined in blue, that is going to be a link, just so you know. This, by the way, though, this Charting Made Easy ebook is a bit of a longer article. You've got, again, this intro from John here. He wrote this whole thing quite a while ago, but we've made it available on the site. And again, it's just a fantastic resource to go and review. If you are new to charting, if you've been charting for a long time, either case, this is a great resource. So lots of charts in here, and you can actually click on any of these for live versions as well. But really to hear John's descriptions of some of that stuff is just phenomenal. So back to the overview. Below that section, we have the psychology of investing. Again, I touched on earlier in the show, said there's some articles in here about kind of the emotional side of trading and investing. So another one that I love to point people to is actually one that I wrote a couple of years ago. That's our cognitive biases article. Now, back in college many years ago, I studied psychology in addition to economics. And one of the things that really stood out to me was, behavioral finance. That was something that I did a deep dive into. Thinking about, all of these sort of psychological irrationalities, what we call cognitive biases, and most importantly, thinking about how those can affect us as investors. So this article really dives into some psychology concepts, biases like anchoring, the endowment effect, confirmation bias, but then it kind of frames that in terms of investing. So for each of these, for example, for the anchoring bias, or actually one that I love to highlight is the endowment effect, loss aversion and the endowment effect. In here, we actually talk about how that can sort of affect you as an investor. So this article is great. Again, food for thought. Something that I love to come back and review because, we're human. And when we're investing, when we're trading, when we're buying and selling stocks, managing our own money, managing our own portfolios, all of these cognitive biases affect us, whether we want them to or not. And the best way to combat them is simply to know about them, to be thinking about them kind of in the back of your brain and saying, hey, am I falling for this? Am I falling for the endowment effect? Am I falling for something like confirmation bias? So if any of those terms are familiar to you, I'm sure that you will enjoy this article. If any of those terms are not familiar to you, I think you will get a ton out of this article. It will really be a bit of an eye-opener for you. So always like to point people to that article. Anyways, moving forward through the overview, below that we have a whole bunch of articles on what we call rules and guidelines. So for instance, we've got a couple on Arthur Hill talking about goals, style, and strategy. I love his article actually on moving average crossovers, sort of discussing how those very specific, very easy to spot technical moves can actually factor into your approach. There is a ton in here, a whole bunch of different articles. Bob Farrell's 10 Rules. I love this article as well. Kind of digging into the veteran Bob Farrell, some of his 10 rules. We kind of highlight those and talk about them a little bit. So lots of great articles in here under the rules and guidelines. But that wraps up the overview. Again, the overview really is intended to be kind of the starting place, some of the core articles that we really think everyone should read and, most importantly, reread. So when we go back to the main page of ChartSchool, here we are back on the sort of the home page of ChartSchool. The next section up below that is chart analysis. So this is where we really start to dive into more of those educational resources, educational articles about specific pieces of technical analysis, trading, investing, building charts, analyzing price, all of that good stuff. So we dive into sort of the fundamentals of charts. What are charts? How does support and resistance work? What are trend lines? Gaps, something that people are always confused about when they first start looking at price charts. So we talk about analyzing gaps, how to work with price gaps on charts, that kind of thing. We dive next into all of the different chart types that we have available to you on StockCharts. There are tons and tons of them. So we've got specific articles for each of those chart types. For instance, if you're confused about what something like candle volume is, or if you want to learn a little bit more about it, maybe you're curious to explore it, candle volume is a very, very interesting chart type. Actually resizes the candlesticks according to the volume that's been traded for that bar. So a very, very interesting chart type. One that has a lot of sort of interpretation, a little bit of nuance to it. So this article here on candle volume can be a great resource to help you learn more about that chart type. And that applies to all of these different chart types that we have listed in this section. So if you're ever wondering, want to learn a little bit more about any of those chart types, you've got that section right there for you. Of course, candlesticks, one of the biggest, most important chart types that we have on the site, something that has a lot of complexity to it. There is so much interpretation that you can learn, so many different tips and tricks and all that kind of things that you can learn about candlestick charting. So we've got a whole bunch of candlestick chart articles here for you. It's got its own section because it really is so important. So tons and tons to research there if you use candlesticks. I do on my chart, so I spend a lot of time always going back reviewing some of these articles. It's always fun. We've got some articles on point and figure charting, another very important one, a little bit of an old school method that is still around, alive and well and kicking. A great chart type. I love using point and figure charts. So if you're wondering about point and figure charts, this is where you can go to learn a little bit more about that. And then we have a whole bunch of articles about some of our annotation tools. So, a lot of people talk about something like Fibonacci retracements. You might have heard that, and you might be wondering, hey, what are Fibonacci levels? How do I add those to my charts? How does that work? Well, the Fibonacci retracements article is right there for you. So as with all of the other articles that we have highlighted already, you've got a whole resource here with charts, descriptions, all of the instruction that you need to know, the interpretation, the understanding. All of that is right here in this article. So it makes it really easy to get up and running with something like fib retracements simply by kind of breezing through this article, reading some examples, seeing some examples. All of that good stuff is available to you here. So that wraps up our chart analysis section. We've got all of those at the bottom there. We're going to go back to our homepage once again, and we're going to jump into the next section, which is technical indicators and overlays. So if you're ever wondering about a specific indicator, this is the place to go to learn about it. For instance, maybe you've heard about Bollinger Bands. You want to learn a little bit more about how they're calculated, how you can add them to your charts, how to interpret them once you add them to your charts. Well, you've got the Bollinger Bands article right there for you. So any indicator that you can chart on StockCharts should have its own article here in ChartSchool and our support center. So a great resource here, to learn more about any indicators or overlays that you're interested in adding to your chart. So the first section up top is going to be things that are pure overlays. So things like moving averages. Overlays, of course, go on top of the main price panel. So we've got that section up top, and then below that we get into technical indicators. We typically on StockCharts like to say overlays are on price and technical indicators are off the price panel. They really are all indicators, but we kind of like to draw that distinction. So we've got these two different sections here. Down below the overlays, you've got, of course, your indicators. And again, same thing. If you've ever wanted to learn anything about, for instance, shaken money flow, you've got a technical indicators article about that, describing everything in great detail. So again, a great resource for you as you're going through your charting process, your charting journey through the markets. You can always come back to ChartSchool to learn more about those indicators and overlays that you want to add to your charts. Next up, we've got market indicators. So these are a little bit different. These are things like advanced decline lines. These are indicators for the market as a whole, for indexes as a whole. So people talk a lot about breadth, things like that. That is a market indicator. So when we look at some of the different things that are in here, bullish percent indexes, for instance, which is generated from P&F charts. We've got, like I said, advanced decline lines, tons and tons of different market indexes or market indicators in here, again, that you can go and read up on. Something that a lot of people talk about, especially right now, because we've seen breadth be a little bit weaker in this market that we have right now. A lot of people have been talking about, indexes making new highs, but the advanced decline lines have not been confirming those new highs. So if you're hearing some of that language and you say advanced decline lines, okay, I think I know what that is, but maybe I could learn a little bit more. I need to read up on that. Well, again, you've got an article right here in ChartSchool for you. So that's really what this is designed to be, is a resource for you, not just to kind of go see when you're new to charting, but really something to go back to as you're going through that journey. I know I've said that a couple of times, but really, people are constantly going back to ChartSchool to learn more, to keep on top of things, to get some refreshers on some of these different concepts, or even to explore new indicators, new overlays, new things that they want to add to their charts and bring into their process. That's where ChartSchool can be a fantastic resource for you, even as you are sort of evolving as a technical trader. Anyways, below the market indicator section, we have a couple of market analysis articles. So things like Dow theory, a very, very big one, something that Dave Keller actually talks a lot about. If you're watching the final bar, for instance, and you hear Dave Keller talking about Dow theory or new Dow theory, this is a great article to come and learn about. You've probably heard about sector rotation. Maybe you're following Julius de Kempenaar with his show, Sector Spotlight, using RRG charts and all that stuff. A lot of us talk about sector rotation, the importance of those different market sectors. So we've got a sector rotation article right in here. Intermarket analysis, another crucial concept, something that has really been highlighted by John Murphy. He's kind of the father of modern intermarket analysis in a lot of ways. So we've got that intermarket analysis article for you right here to learn more about the relationships between all of these different markets, between stocks and bonds and commodities and the dollar, all of that good stuff globally as well. So a great article there, the intermarket analysis article. Tons more to explore in here. Always love to highlight the Wyckoff stuff. Bruce Frazier, one of our contributors, does a ton on Wyckoff. If you're following Bruce, following his show maybe on StockCharts TV, Power Charting, or his blog, or if you're just interested in Wyckoff analysis, this is a great set of articles to come in here and read. And then even a couple of things on Elliott wave analysis. So tons and tons of stuff here in this different section, the market analysis section. Now, we're actually coming up to my favorite section of ChartSchool, probably the one, honestly, that I use the most. This is the glossary. Now, in the glossary, what we do is define all of the terms that you've probably heard thrown around in the market. So, for instance, let's say you're hearing someone talk about a doji candle on a specific stock or specific index, and you go, a doji candle? What does that mean? Well, instead of having to go and look up a whole article about candlesticks and kind of try to find that section, we've got this little glossary here that allows you to just search for a term up at the top, or click into D because doji starts with D, scroll down, and there you go. You get a quick description of what a doji candle is. So a great resource here, the glossary, something that you can just kind of keep in the back of your brain. If you ever hear a term that you're not familiar with, you want to go do a little bit of research on that, learn a little bit more about what that term means. The glossary is a great resource. Maybe you've heard someone talk about a double top breakout. You can come in here and learn something like that. Maybe you've heard someone talk about a death cross, or we just mentioned Dow theory. We've got a Dow theory description right there. So again, if you just want kind of a quick description of something, the glossary is a great place to go. So going back to our ChartSchool homepage, the next two sections in this table of contents right up at the top, trading strategies and models. We're just going to breeze through this. A whole bunch of different articles on trading strategies. So, you might be interested in something like we were talking earlier about gaps. You might be interested in trading strategies around gaps, how to actually trade those gaps on those price charts. So we've actually got an article here on that. Maybe you're interested in trading based on the Ichimoku cloud, another great indicator, one that I'm always intrigued by. So, if you're intrigued by something like that and how to trade it, we've got articles in here for a whole bunch of different trading strategies. So you can come in here, kind of breeze through any of those, see what sticks out to you, read up on those trading strategies, see what you can bring into your own process. Finally, we have our index and market indicator catalog. So there is a ton in here to explore, lots and lots to see about economic indicators, different market indicators, tons to explore in this section. So lots and lots, again, to cover in ChartSchool. There is so much here. And really the idea of this show is really just to kind of breeze through, show you some of the things that are there, give you a sense of kind of what you can do with this section of the website. Now, down below, we're going to go a little bit quicker here, but we have a charting resources section. So we're actually just going to sort of stay right here. These are our main charting tools that you're probably familiar with. Things like SharpCharts and ACP, those are the big ones that you hear about a lot that you're probably using. But all of the other tools as well. So our P&F chart tools, our perf charts, that's a big one that I love to use. Seasonality charts. These are different things that we have highlighted on the show many times, gallery view and candle glance, but we have specific articles about each of those tools. So if you're ever wondering how to use a tool, maybe you want to learn a little bit more about how to use our perf charts tool, you can actually come to this charting resources section give that a click. That's going to take you right over to the educational resource about how to use perf charts. Now we even have a video right at the top of that page, but this is going to really walk you through that tool, give you a great sense of how to use it. So a little bit of a combo, education and documentation here in this section, but you've got great access, easy access to all the information about those different tools and features right there. Now we do the same thing for our scanning and alerts tools as well. So if you want to learn more about how to create scans, what you can do with the scan engine, even the advanced scan library actually is something that I use a lot. You can come into this advanced scan library. We've got sort of sample scans, little snippets that you can use to build your own scans. A great resource right there. The same thing for alerts. There's a ton in here, and it's really designed to help you learn more about scanning and alerts, but also in something like the advanced scan library is actually really a tool in and of itself. You can come in here and get the scan syntax, as we call it, for tons and tons of different scans. So for instance, we can jump into the predefined scan section. You can see you get the little snippet. All of this can actually be copied and pasted. So you can come here, search for anything, find anything that's interesting to you, copy and paste that over into a new scan on the scan workbench, and you're off to the races creating scans right there without having to go type in everything. So, if something like this, writing a scan for bullish MACD crossovers is a little bit of work, especially if you're new to the scan engine. So instead of having to learn how to do that all on your own, you can actually just come here to ChartSchool, come here to the support center, and just copy and paste this whole thing right into your own scan. So these resources are available to you here through ChartSchool and the support center. Now, I keep saying ChartSchool and the support center. So as we kind of wrap up, again, we touched on some of these down below. We've got links to some of the other resources around the site. But I just want to mention ChartSchool and the support center actually have a little bit of a link here. So it's pretty seamless. As you can see, there's no kind of jump to different sections. No, are you sure you're leaving this section, that kind of thing. But as we're clicking through these, something like the advanced scan library is actually part of our support center. So everything really at the top of this page under the table of contents, these are all part of ChartSchool, but a lot of these sections down below actually take you over to our support center because they're a little bit more of a documentation kind of resource to help you learn more about the different tools and features. So if you're wondering kind of what the support center is, that's sort of the complement to ChartSchool. Again, I mentioned at the start of the show that you can get there simply by clicking the help menu up in the right corner, top right corner. So that takes you to a page that looks very similar. This is our support center. We do have a button here for contacting support. So if you ever want to get in touch with us, by the way, you can just hit that. That's going to take you right over to a form. You can send us a note, drop us an email at support@stockcharts.com. That's the other way to do it. But you can get to that right through this. But the support center itself has a ton of articles, just like ChartSchool. They really are kind of together in a big bunch, but we do have a little bit of a separation between them. But the point is, if you're ever wondering about anything related to using stock charts, any of the tools, any of the features, how to navigate around your account, how to set something up, changing your password, all that kind of stuff, that is really right here for you in our support center as well. So another resource to go and play around with. ChartSchool on that main ChartSchool page that we're looking at has a couple of sort of leads over to some of the support center articles. But so the support center page itself does have quite a lot more to it. So for instance, in the charts and tools section here, you can see that we really break down some of those different tools. Instead of just leading you into kind of the main article for something, we actually have all these different sharp charts articles, all these different ACP articles, and then a lot on the other charting tools as well. Even some things like more information about our summary pages, things like the market summary, the sector summary, the symbol summary, different symbol reports and chart galleries, tons and tons of stuff in here. We have even more scanning and alerts articles that you can breeze through, and again, more information about sort of managing your account, how things work, subscribing to stock charts, that kind of thing. So I did just want to highlight the support center as well. This is available to you. Very similar. You can type in anything and it'll will pull up an article right there for you to help you get to where you need to be. So either ChartSchool or the support center, there is tons and tons to see in both of these resources. And they are really great resources as you're going through that charting journey. They can really help you get more out of stock charts, learn more about the markets, learn more about what you can do with technical analysis, how charts work, all that good stuff. That's all available here in ChartSchool. So to wrap up today's show, I wanted to show you one little trick for you ACP users that actually makes it really easy to access all of this stuff right from ACP. So we're going to go up to the top of the page. You can see that I've actually changed this to be ACP, and I'm going to type in a ticker symbol. Let's say I type in Intuit. So here we are launching ACP. We're in ACP. That's our new interactive advanced charting platform, highly dynamic, something we've been covering a ton on the show. I'm sure you've heard a lot about ACP if you've been following the show for a while. But we're here in ACP. What I wanted to highlight, since we're talking today about getting access to those educational resources, learning more about indicators, learning more about overlays, all of that good stuff. We've actually built a pretty cool feature into ACP that links you right over to those articles that we were looking at earlier in the show. So let's say you've added a new indicator to your charts. You add something like the RSI to your charts, and you're thinking, I wonder how this is calculated. How does this work? What really is the RSI? I've been using it for a while, but I don't really know what it is. Well, click the label. That's going to take you over to the Edit Indicator section of ACP, the Edit Indicator panel, where you can edit any of the settings of the indicator. The period, RSI period, any of that good stuff. Change the colors, all of that. And at the bottom, there are three little buttons. Now, if you make any changes, of course, you can get back to sort of the default settings for that indicator with the reset button. If you want to remove this indicator from your charts, you can do that with the little delete button. But let's say you wanted to learn more about this indicator. Well, there's a little question mark icon in this orange button right here, and that's a link straight over to the documentation page for this indicator. This applies to any indicator that you have on your charts in ACP, anything that's built into ACP by default. We're going to have a support center article on that indicator, a ChartSchool article on that indicator. And you can get to that simply by clicking this orange button. So when I give that a click, you'll see that here in a new tab outside of ACP, we've opened up the ChartSchool article on the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. This is going to give you a ton of information about this indicator. What it is, who created it, in this case, Wells Wilder, the calculation of it, how it works. It's going to give you a ton of examples and sort of some interpretation as well, how to actually interpret this indicator. So in this case, we're talking about, overbought and oversold levels on the RSI, the standard interpretation of that. We get into divergences, how to interpret divergences between price and the RSI. There is a ton in this article. And you can do that for any indicator in ACP. Like I said, any of the indicators that are built into ACP by default might not apply to plugins, but does apply to any of the indicators that are built into ACP by default. You can look for that little orange icon in the orange button in the Edit Indicator panel. That's going to take you right over to the documentation. So a great little trick here in ACP. If you are exploring new indicators, exploring new features of your charts, you can always learn more about any of the indicators that you have on your charts simply by clicking that little orange button at the bottom of that Edit Indicator panel. So I know we covered a ton on today's show, walking through ChartSchool, touring you around the support center even a little bit, and showing off some of those tricks in ACP to get over to those articles. Now, I know I said you have a little bit of homework, so I want to remind you, want to encourage you, go play around with some of those different sections of ChartSchool. Dive into some of those articles from John Murphy. Look at some of those things that Arthur Hill's written. Don't forget about that cognitive biases article that I wrote a couple of years ago. That's a great one that I always love to point people to. Anything that stood out to you today from this show, walking through some of those different sections of ChartSchool, do that homework this weekend. Go back, take a look at some of those articles, learn more. And most importantly, don't forget about ChartSchool. That's the thing that I like to emphasize to people. Don't forget that this resource is there for you. If you are ever charting your way through the markets and you're thinking, hey, I wonder how this works. I wonder what that means. I wonder if this is the chart, the candlestick pattern that I've heard about over there. You always have ChartSchool available to you. You can always go back to that resource and learn more about all things technical analysis, all things investing, all things trading, all things markets. It's a great resource that's always there for you, especially even small little sections of it like the glossary, something that you should definitely keep in mind as you're going through. If you're hearing terms that you're not familiar with, go see if they're available in the glossary. You'll get that quick little description, makes it really easy to look those things up and get some clarification. So The resources that you have available to you in ChartSchool, the information that you have available to you in ChartSchool is a great resource, if you're new to this, but it's also a great ongoing resource as well. So I want to encourage you, definitely don't forget about it. Definitely spend a little bit of time going through some of those articles. And I think for everyone, go review that Charting Made Easy book from John Murphy. It is a great refresher on really the fundamentals of charting. Really a great way to spend an hour or so just reading through that great book from John Murphy, getting a refresher on the true fundamentals of charting and technical analysis. That's a great resource in there. So anyways, so much for you to explore. I want to encourage you to do that and have some fun with it. Really, there's a ton in there for you. So have fun exploring some of those educational articles. Now, again, I want to thank you for joining me on today's edition of Stock Charts in Focus. It's been a thrill to be with you and a thrill to explore something a little bit different. Mostly we're talking about tools and features on this show, but to spend a little time talking about one of the educational resources is always good. So great to be with you today. If you've enjoyed this show, if you had a good time with me today, we do this every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time on StockCharts TV, also up on our YouTube channel after that, or the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. So lots of ways to watch this show, as well as all the other shows that we do on StockCharts TV. But I want to thank you for joining me on today's episode. Hopefully you've had some fun touring through ChartSchool, seeing some of these different little tips like that ACP feature, always a fun one to share. But I look forward to being back with you next Friday for another edition of the show. Again, my name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. Thanks for joining me. I will see you very soon for the next one. And until then, chart on, my friends.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.